Starting stream in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
J'ai soif, je bois sans dire à tout.
What's going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's our weekly live stream where we talk about news, current events, and of course our movie review. With me, as ever, is the homeboy Rob.
Yo, what's going on, buddies?
Lots been going on. At least some things that have actually made us want to talk about the news as of late. But how you been, Rob?
Dude, I've been good, man. I took this week off from work, so I've been kind of just trying to get caught up in a little bit of rest. Work has been a little bit nuts. It's probably gonna be a little bit crazy for the next couple of months. Mm-hmm. So it's right now. It just felt like a good time to take some time off and catch up on some rest, catch up on some movies, and yeah, but this week has been a little bit crazy, like with some of the news. Nothing that sure, we could talk about like some of the Daily Wire, Steven Crowder stuff. Sure, we could talk about that, but everyone's talking about that. And personally, I don't really care.
Right.
I think there's more.
I don't think we necessarily have anything to offer in that particular mudslinging contest.
I don't have anything to offer on that. So because I have been keeping up on that. Nothing that I would really have to. The only thing I would say is that, listen, both of those companies have done a lot as far as conservative platforms have, but at the same time, I think they've both done things that are not so good. And Owen Benjamin's, I think, has touched on that. I think they've both done a lot of bad things. Owen Benjamin's touched on that a lot, years ago. Mm-hmm. And what do I have to offer to that? Nothing. I have nothing to offer to that.
Right.
But we do have some.
Yeah, we're not we're not personally involved with any of the parties, or we don't have any pre-existing relationships.
No,
I mean, we're not even a big enough channel to even come on the radar of Crowder or the Daily Wire. Nothing we produced has gone viral.
We're in another realm compared to that, which is fine, and that's okay. And in fact, I like me in the other realm compared to them. So I don't have anything to offer to that. But we do have some good, I think, some interesting stuff to talk about. We do have some, I like we talked about last week with the, some of the alternate history stuff, the Razor Fist video about Abraham Lincoln, which I think was extremely interesting, and talking about that. And I think we have something similar to talk about this week with that. Considering with Martin Luther King, we just came off of Martin Luther King's birthday, so I think it's semi-relevant. And we also have some recurring news potentially with Alec Baldwin and the Rust video shoot.
Right. Big update. I mean, if you haven't already heard, but we'll get into that.
That's big.
Hey, did a bulb go out on your end? Your face is dark.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I was leaning too far back. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, we got a bunch of stuff today. A lot of small things, but of course, the major stuff we do put up in the title Of course, we also have our movie review, and tonight will be the end of Revenge Month, and we'll be closing it out with a Korean movie called I Saw the Devil,
Dude,
starring Che Min-sik of Old Boy fame, and byung-hun of who in the West you might remember him as the actor who portrays Storm Shadow in the GI Joe movies.
he's also in the remake of Magnificent Seven.
Yes, that's right. Billy Rocks. There you go. He plays Billy
Yeah, Billy.
Rocks.
Dude, he's so good in that. I
Yeah.
had I had to admit, I really loved the remake of Magnificent Seven.
Hmm. Right, and and I'm glad it was never fully stated what uh, his ethnicity is, because I mean I'm sure given the time period, everyone would automatically just assume like a Chinaman,
Yeah,
but
I would
I'm
assume.
sure, yeah, but I'm sure he probably worked it into his contract or whatever. It's like don't make me a Chinaman,
Oh, I'm sure he did.
yeah, or at least don't make me Chinese, and so which I think just adds an air, just another air of a layer of
Mister.
mystery to him.
Exactly.
Mhm. So yeah, you
But
have
he's so
that.
good.
So all that in store for you tonight. Um, as for myself, typical weekend for me, just volunteering at my church. Um,
And honestly, like
we did hang
I,
out. We did hang out though. Wait, was it last week? I think it was last week. I
yeah,
think
we
we
did.
addressed it. We hung out
We did.
on Monday, and then of course yesterday we filmed for the main podcast uh, with James. He who makes a surprise appearance. Uh, contractually obligated one appearance every year at the
Yeah,
least.
we did. We're gonna have our Whiplash review pretty soon here in a couple weeks,
Right, and
which was
that'll be up soon.
fantastic.
Yeah, and so something to look forward to there. Little teaser.
Yeah, but honestly, I would be more willing to talk about some of your more of your philanthropist enterprises with your mobile showers and church events that you do, because I think that's more. The news has been kind of boring. Like it's not that. I mean, there's always going to be like news events that are exciting that we should talk about, but
Mm-hmm.
I do want to do more stuff that is like more stuff that both you and I enjoy. And I think with what you do for the for the public, as far as your enterprises with like your mobile shower and your outreach engagements, I think that's more exciting, and I would love to hear more about that. And I think people want to hear more about that because it's more. I think it's more engaging as far as like local stuff. Hey, like because we talk about how the the homeless population is not just like drunks and like drug addicts, and we don't want to hear about it's not it's not like these people who are just
Right, they're not trash people.
they're not trash people at all. Like they're down on their luck. A lot of them are down on their luck. Yeah, they've made bad decisions. Yeah, no one doubts that. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people who have a lot of issues that probably should be in some sort of institution or some sort of like program that now the local church is taking care of that, and which is great. But at the same time, like it feels like that we're going to talk about like the World Economic Forum of like government and corporations working together, which is fucking scares the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
This is where like the private sector and the public sector should work together in this case in trying to help people, kind of build themselves back up.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I think that should work. Like as far as like, let's get them into some sort of program or some sort of like thing to help them like recover or find some sort of stability to get them back on their feet, to get them back off of like drugs or alcohol or whatever else is their problem. And yet like that's just not happening. They're just out on the streets, and we see it more often, like where we see all the you see it in Chatsworth where you live. Obviously I work there, so I see all the people that are just living in tents down on the where the wash is, like the Los Angeles River. We see it over by the on Burbank with like where the bike route is. They're living there. They're just living everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not. I don't feel good about it. Like that just feels like we're just letting people live in squalor, and it doesn't feel right.
Right.
And I think
Yeah. Yeah. When you last week when you were had to deal with your thing, and I was solo for a little bit. Yeah, I kind of went into that and just my own experiences, and it's hard. Yeah, it's because unlike some like activists who like those who like constantly interrupt like city council meetings, and like when they try to have a measured where like just like last year where they cleared out Echo Park or Silver
yeah,
Lake or something like, or yeah, or MacArthur Park. You had activists up in arms saying, "Oh, how dare you? You're terrorizing them. You're causing them distress or whatever." It's just like, but you're advocating for them to live on the street. They're
exactly.
not. There's not one of them, these so-called advocates, for these homeless people who are saying, "Oh, I will take the responsibility of housing them, or I will take on the responsibility of feeding them or clothing them or whatever." No, they're just like, "Oh no, you can't impose your standards on these people. You're unfeeling monsters. How dare you treat them like this or that?" And it's just like you're me along with my church, we are, doing something at least. We're not doing the most thing. We are doing the very least, and that's going out there and like trying to establish like relationships to eventually get them to like resources, but these people with like who are literally deranged, in my opinion, that allowing someone to live out on the street is more compassionate than getting them into programs, or even maybe
Exactly.
even going to jail. There's this one homeless guy that that I know, that he's kind of sorting himself out, as much as someone living on the streets can. But he went to he went to jail for like a month or so for stealing tools at a job site. And then when he got out, he told us like, yeah, that was the best thing that ever happened to him. Because it
Yeah,
got him away from it got him away from his surroundings, got him away from drugs, and yeah, it like helped him out. And it's not difficult to see these drug pushers. There's this one site that we go to here in the valley, and you just go there and you just feel the darkness, right?
yeah,
That's that. Those are the areas where it's the devil's like constantly whispering to these people, saying like, "Oh yeah, just take the drugs," or like "Oh, nobody loves you," and things like that. And you just feel like that pressure on you, and and it sucks because like you see the drug pushers come through, all the time. They come in like they're their Mercedes or like their kitted out Beamers or whatever, and it's like, and they just like, and they see us and they kind of they do like this quick loop. They come in and then they drive back out because they know that we're there, and that
Right.
like we are offering a bit of a respite for these people. I mean, eventually when we do leave, they'll probably come back and flood that area with drugs. But for that small moment, we're offering them a respite. We're offering them some breathing room to to feel like human beings and engage in conversation and prayer and even some preaching of the gospel.
And that's difficult because what you're providing them is something good, and you
Mhm.
are giving them dignity,
Right.
which is like something that hasn't been probably given to them in who knows how long.
Right.
And
I mean, yeah, I also recounted the first time, my church did this, and we ran into a NIMBYist. For those of you, NIMBY is an acronym for, not in my backyard. And, he was like yelling at us saying like, oh, you're only perpetuating the problem. You're allowing them to be homeless. And it's like, sir, like, what have you done, to help the homeless?
exactly, they've done nothing.
Exactly. He's like, oh, well, those damn politicians. Like, then why are you yelling at us?
Talk to your
We're,
city councilman.
yeah. Go
Talk
write go write an angry letter to your city councilman and tell him what's up because we're doing is doing the we're not doing anything extraordinary. We're doing bare minimum, you know you know handing out food, like some like clothing, and just decency. Human decency. That's all.
that
That's
that
all we're
that
giving.
that's what you're handing out. You're handing out human decency
Mhm.
at the bare minimum. And that's, to be honest, like this is like one of those moments like where government and the private sector should be working together to fix this problem because it's bad. It's we all see it in Los Angeles County. The homeless situation is at it's a horrible situation. um and the fact that I'm not necessarily blaming the people that are homeless. Like, it's obviously, like, there is a lot of, like, drug use and alcoholism or whatever issue. And like I said, drugs are a huge issue. One thing that I do agree with, like, the Trump platform, among anything, is that we do need to do something about, like, the people who are pushing drugs.
Mhm.
I mean, as far as, like, he's talking, like, as far as, like, executing, like, drug dealers, which, to be honest, I don't disagree with. It's
I
like
know, dude. Who's that? Who's that? Who's the dictator in Philippines? Batista or
something like that. Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, but he's like, like you take like he's kind of like the Chuck Norris of the Philippines. He's like, oh yeah, I used to be gay, but then I cured myself of gayness, and and it's like, oh, like like if you're a drug dealer, we just execute you. Like, no, like let's not, we're not gonna
and
waste the time and money on a trial. We just kill you.
and to be honest, I'm all for that. Like, I like what I'm not and this isn't about, like, like marijuana or whatever, but like this is, I'm talking about, like, more like heavy drugs, like, your cocaine and your meth, whatever else is out there.
Mhm.
I'm all for, like, what, get rid of those people. They're not uh over the overdose epidemic, like, as far as, like, fentanyl and whatever else,
Yeah,
whether
yeah, it's
the
like
drug is
the
so,
lacing of other drugs with fentanyl is the problem.
yeah, it's horrible. Like, and people are dying at an astronomical rate. Like, yeah, get rid of those people. Fuck them.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't care.
There was I forget who did it. It was like a YouTuber, but he or he like filmed like Skid Row, and he did like a quick interview with EMS guy, and he was like saying it's like, yeah, some and he was talking about how, yeah, sometimes I'll get called to overdose calls, and it'll be the same guy. That
Yeah.
one of the EMS techs was saying how one time he had to what was it, inject Narcan into an overdose uh, victim like 3 times in the same day.
Jesus Christ.
And it's just like, I mean, that's not. I mean, not that it should be sustainable, but that's not sustainable. Like like constantly dumping resources into the same person who's clearly trying to kill himself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's which is, stuff like that breaks my heart because it's like that person, can't help themselves. That's where like we do need those programs to like to help stop this epidemic, from going on. Like they're just they don't have those people don't have the tools to help themselves. Those people should probably be in some sort of institution.
yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. But it's we stop funding the institute, or this at least the state-run institutions. And that's what
And I'm not
people
saying that,
wondering.
and I'm
Well,
not
yeah,
saying those places were the best, but like it was something.
it was something. That's right. And it's just like, I don't know what happened when like a lot of states, they just stopped funding their state-run institutions, and like that's why you had the clips of hospital institution workers dropping off their patients at the bus station with one-way tickets, you know or or plane tickets, out to Hawaii, or the West. And probably vice versa too. You probably had some Western state institutions sending their patients east or whatever. But it's just like, it's like, what happened? It's like, why did we stop funding these places? And
Yeah,
like, and it could have been like, oh, these institutions are corrupt or abusive or whatever. It's just like, okay, why don't we just reform the institutions instead of
exactly. Instead of getting rid,
ending them, instead of getting rid of them?
exactly.
I mean, because like, I mean, at least here in California, we're paying exorbitant amount of taxes to supposedly go to like infrastructure and services and things like that. But it's just like things have only gotten worse.
Oh, we're giving them safe needles and drugs. Really? That's gonna help them?
Right? Exactly. Like, and like we're doing less, and like, and enabling worse behavior. You know.
Exactly. It's bullshit.
Yeah. So
And like
yeah.
I talk about this not because like I'm not like some cruel person. Like I do want those people taken care of. Like they can't help themselves. They have like I
Yeah,
said,
they're just they're completely incapable of caring for themselves at that level.
yeah. And but I personally don't have the tools to help them. Like giving them money or giving them food, like that's not really helping them. They do need something more, and I don't know necessarily what that is. Do we need to have some sort of like institution that houses them, like to help them get off of drugs or help them with their mental conditions? That's not necessarily something that I can do. Maybe if this was we still had the state institutions, like where our tax dollars are going to that.
Mhm.
Sure, that's helping them, but like what we have now, they're having them on the street, like living in squalor. That's not helping them. That's like we're letting them like live in horrible
Right.
conditions. That's
That's the cruelty. That's the cruelty.
that to me is cruel. Yeah, it's really cruel, and I don't like it, but I don't know what the answer is yet, to be
Right.
honest.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this, what, like 2 years maybe. I've been doing my part or whatever, and and even I don't have the answer. I mean, there are things I think might help, but I don't have the answers.
And I'm
But
sure we're not the only state that's dealing with this problem either.
right, yeah. I mean, California is not uniquely burdened by this. I mean, Like I think every major city is dealing with this.
Definitely in the Southwest, I would
Hmm.
imagine.
Yeah, definitely in the Southwest. But yeah, I mean, I mean, well, at least every week I'm, interacting with the homeless, through my church, heading our mobile shower thing, and even that's like a small bit of, again, dignity and decency that we give them, to at least like clean up and and get like fresh socks or underwear or whatever, or even just clothes, just having a nice hot meal.
You have done more with that than our political powers and like the public powers that be. You've done more than anyone else has done.
I mean, sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but I know you're right. And of course, I'm not saying this, as a boast and be like, oh, look how great I am. I think
Wait,
I still
I know
suck.
you're not.
Was it?
I know you're not doing that. It's like because
Yeah.
even then, like because I know that when you do it, it's like we're not doing enough. Like it's like this doesn't feel like I'm doing something, sure,
Mhm.
but it feels like they're gonna go back to their lifestyle for the for the next week. And what have I done? Yet
Mhm.
you've done more than what our government has done and what like the private sector has done in ever in the last like
Yeah.
decade.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I really hope that I'm giving them like a sense of stability, especially the weekly mobile shower ministry that I do. That's something consistent that that they can come to, and like we try to make sure that it happens. And luckily for me, with my schedule being the way it is, I'm able to do it every week, and
Do you
and give up my time.
do you see like a lot of the same people, or is it like always like new people
Oh
that
yeah,
come?
yeah. Oh, the mobile shower, yeah. Like we have our regulars, and and I see them every single week, and I talk with them. I see how they're doing. I try to get, if they need like a new shirt or pants or whatever. I get it for them, and I sit, I talk with them, and there's some really great people out there, who are actually trying to
Yeah,
better their
yeah.
situations, and some who just kind of accept their lot, and they try not to be a burden on anyone or the system, and they just try to get what little what minimum that they can, um, and but for whatever reason, like they're not looking for that responsibility of maintaining a life, or having a place and getting having a job and things like that. um, but they don't want to be any more burden on the system than they already are. It's not
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're not the type where it's like, oh, well, I need more of this or I need more of that. It's just there's like, no, it's like, oh, I'll just take this and this, and there's these free programs or whatever, and I take advantage. And it's like, okay, but they're not the, oh, I need more, and
No, that's the thing is like I don't think of those people as like they're just trying to be a drain on society. Like I don't really feel that way.
mhm.
Um, and I don't know if based off like what you do, I don't know if this would help in any way. I do have a lot of clothes to donate. Would that be something that would help your cause like a little bit, like giving them like clean clothes, stuff like that? Like would that
Yeah, I
help?
mean, we could always use clean clothes.
Okay, I have a lot of stuff that I'm trying to donate. I would
Uh-huh.
rather donate it to your cause, because it's actually going to people that I know are gonna use it.
Mhm.
Um, so I can start donating that over over the course of a couple weeks, if you would guys would like to take that.
Yeah, I mean, right now, of course, like warm winter clothes would be best. But yeah, anything would help.
Just so that they have something like clean to wear, like so they're not in rags.
Yeah, I mean, most of the times they're not, and usually, yeah, in summer it gets kind of bad because also, it's a lot of times there's also like laundry services that's lacking too because you know,
They're all
they're
like being gross. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and they're not all able to like scrounge some enough money to, hit the laundromat or whatever, and so,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, I know, like, yeah, I've been thinking about ways I can or we can help more, and maybe it's not just doing the mobile shower, but it's also like maybe
Doing a laundry service too.
yeah, like a laundry service, or like working with some like maybe there's a charity out there that does like that has a laundry truck, and they can come and do their laundry. Um,
Well, I mean, if anything, like if God, if that's the case, like I'd be willing to donate, like at least I don't know how many people you do a week, but like was it like $100, like to do several people a week to get their laundry done, like or there's got to be something out there that we can do to do that.
right. Well, but it's not just like the money thing. It's also like 'cause I think it would have to be like a full on service where like we would have to do their laundry for them.
Well,
Um,
that's what I'm saying is like is it like maybe we spend a little bit of money to like have like a laundry truck come out to do their laundry for them for like over the course of a couple hours, or maybe it's who knows,
right.
we should look into
Yeah,
that.
I'd
I,
have to talk with my church and see where they are with like the budget and things like that. Um, but
and like I said, if it takes like maybe it's a couple $100, and we throw a couple $100 that way, and just to give them some a little bit more dignity, so they have some clean clothes, so they don't have to live in like they don't have to smell and be gross. It's because I know it's not their lifestyle sucks.
mhm.
Don't get me wrong, it sucks, and because
Yeah,
they're forced to live on the street for and sometimes it's like their own fault that they're there through like bad decisions with like drugs and alcohol, or just because they made some bad financial decisions.
mhm.
More often than not it's drugs and alcohol, but we can at least like find some way to give them some dignity,
Yeah,
because there's the way that it is now. It's like the state is like, oh, we'll just give you like clean needles and and fresh drugs. That's giving them some dignity.
or
It's like,
yeah, or a safe place to shoot up.
yeah, that's not dignity. That's fucked up.
Right. Um, it's yeah, it's really it reminds me of that joke by Dave Chappelle where he's like talking about how Sesame Street wasn't really what it was portrayed
Yeah,
as, and
get it.
it's like Oscar the Grouch was like a homeless person, and so like
Yeah,
and,
get it.
and Sesame Street inadvertently taught an entire generation to look down on homeless people.
That's a great bit, by the way.
Yeah, it's
Get
like
it together.
get together, Grouch, get a job, Grouch. But yeah, like a couple of weeks ago, we went out and it was raining, and like raining, and it started. We went out earlier to kind of avoid the rain, but we weren't able to. But even just experiencing that, like something like that, that they go through, like having to live outdoors and having to deal with the rain. It's like that was like that was intolerable. I mean, intolerable as if for me that that was only out there for like a couple of hours. But then these people, they like constantly have to
They
deal with
live
it.
there. They
Yeah,
live
they
in,
live there. You
and
know, and it's just
that's one of those moments where like you just suck it up for a few hours because that's what they
mhm,
have to live with.
exactly. You know, and then again, it just like reminds me. You know, it takes me back to those people who are, you know, who say like, "Oh yeah, no, it's the compassionate thing to do to let them live out on the street." And just like, are you fucking
No,
kidding me?
yeah, it's not.
It's like it's the exact opposite of the compassionate thing to do. That you are saying, if you were saying it is better for these people to live out on the street, you're saying that you hate them.
Yeah,
And and I'm not making any qualifications on that either. Like you're literally saying, like, if you're saying that homeless people, you know, deserve to, they're literally saying that they deserve to be out, you know, living on the streets in these public places. Like they deserve it, you know. Think about that. They're saying that they deserve it.
and it's I mean, you and I have. I mean, we've lived here pretty much our whole life, right?
Mhm.
This is the worst that
Oh
this
yeah.
is the absolute worst that the homeless crisis has been.
Dude, I'm back in the day. There was one homeless dude around Chatsworth,
Right?
right? One, and everyone knew him. And then, you know, and interestingly enough, he got to be on the Kardashians.
Yeah,
You know, they did that one stupid thing where, you know, one of them was like felt really bad for this homeless guy, and they, you know, bought him clothes or whatever. But it's like, yeah, that like he was the homeless guy in my town, you know, and he like, and
that
that
was
was it. That
it was
was it.
yeah, it was the guy, one
Yeah,
guy, not like the whole. It was almost like a whole city that has like popped up, like.
yeah.
And Skid Row, like as bad as that was, like back 20 years ago.
hmm
God, it's so bad now. Like it's gotten to the point where like where they can't even like help those people
No,
because
yeah. I
there's
mean,
all these
again,
charities that help out Skid Row,
hmm
and it's gotten to the point where they can't help them anymore.
yeah. I mean, just like what is it? The artist, the soloist, that movie with, you know, Robert Downey Jr. and Jamie Foxx talking about, you know, the homeless crisis in L.A. That was back in I think that movie where like because it chronicles the writer for the L.A. Times, um, something Lopez.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was like chronicling his, his like kind of, human interest piece on an actual person, you know, and that was back in like the early 2000s, and the movie was made in like
10.
2014, 10, 12, somewhere around there. But yeah, so and by that time, like it was like that was when it was like the wave was cresting on the homelessness problem
Yeah,
around when the movie was made
I
or when
should
the
check.
movie was released.
Yeah, I should check that out.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen that yet.
yeah. But I mean, it's funny because it's like I saw it recently. I for some reason I'm never able to watch it all the way through, but it's just like, you know, I see myself in like these people who are like trying to help, you know, Jamie Foxx's character is like, oh, all he needs is like a place to live. It's like, no, that he's still crazy. It's like, oh, well, you know, he just needs to find purpose. It's like, oh, well, you know, he's not really capable of maintaining that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like what are we supposed to do? And I mean, I never it's never gotten to the point where things have gotten violent, like with like a homeless person and myself. But you know, there are times where like I had to like be very stern and like, you know, like sometimes like the homeless people, you know, they'll have like discussions, you know, and it's like, and not to be rude or anything, but it's like two crazy people, you know, arguing with each other. It's like there's no good things that come from that. You know,
Exactly. Like it's
or
like
people like not. I'm sorry, not. I don't want to call them crazy, but people with issues, two people having with issues having an argument, like nothing good can come of that.
two crazy people having crazy discussion, like crazy arguments against each other, and it's like you don't have the tools to deal with that.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
not.
yeah, I mean, luckily for me, like, you know, I built up enough of that social capital where I'd be like, hey guys, you know, just like not here, you know, cut it out. and then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right, sorry, and they'll mostly knock it off.
Yeah, and here's the thing is like because you're such a good person, Andrew, is that you think that like that's your fault, like oh I can't help them, and you feel bad about what you've done. And it's like, but you've done more for them than anybody has done, like in like 20 years. You've done more for them in 20 years than anyone else, not the government, not anyone else out on the streets trying to help them. And that's not right. Like that, you shouldn't feel bad about yourself. You've done way more. You've gone above and beyond the call of duty, and yeah, it sucks because you feel bad for them. I feel bad for them. That's not. It's not their. It's not your fault. It's not their fault. Like society has failed them.
Right. Yeah. And I try to keep that in mind, of course, for sure. Because I'm just one man, and even I, like in a lot of ways, I'm no more better than these people. It's just because I've had the gift of a family, and watching out for me, and uh, like if I didn't have any of those things, like I'd probably be one of them. I mean, not crazy, but
Yeah.
or with issues, but yeah, I'd be one of them easily.
It's just one of those things where like it should remind people to be thankful for what they have. If you have a family that is good to you, hey, that's
Yeah.
great. You have
Or just even a family at all. I mean,
friends.
I'm not talking about like the exceptions of horrible families that are abusive or whatever, but even just having a family. Because I
God,
remember a long time ago, Joe Rogan had this guest on. He was talking about the homelessness, in Austin or whatever, where the guest is from. He was talking about one of the major issues that lead to homelessness is also sudden family loss. So
yeah,
like say like you're let's say like you're even like like a 20-year-old kid, and you're in school or whatever, and then both your parents die,
yeah,
and like you have no immediate family, but you're homeless,
yeah.
and it surprisingly happens a lot, and
That,
so
and that's scary to think about. Yeah.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and so yeah, I know that I'm lucky, um, and I know that I'm blessed. So
just so you know, if anything happens to your family, Andy, you're staying with me, okay? You have a place to stay.
I don't
Uh,
know your wife though, man. She's a lot to
I know,
deal
I
with.
understand. I understand. She's a little crazy, but you know what? She would say the same thing that you're saying with us until you find something.
Well, I appreciate that. I really
Yeah,
do.
but no, it's scary to think about. Like, yeah, you're right. Like sudden family loss, that can play a part into this. It's as far as like even having a family is lucky. Even if like they're not like the best family, they're a little crazy.
Right.
Uh,
And
I
we're
would
not.
rather
Yeah. And again,
that over
qualifier. We're
like
not talking about like crazy ass abusive people.
yeah. Um, but like we're so like you and I are so lucky that we have like what we have. Like you have yeah, I know maybe you have like some things with like, your family, but you know what? Like they love you and you love them,
Hmm.
and you have some arguments with them. Obviously, like you had the COVID stuff going on with them, but you know what? You made it through, and you still love them regardless.
Hmm.
I have my family, I have my issues with them, but like that, I still love them to death, and I'm thankful for them. They've helped me out a lot. And, now obviously I have my own family with my wife, and God, does she drive me fucking crazy as all hell.
Hmm.
But I would rather take that over just nothing.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's I look at what these people have, and it's just it's heartbreaking. Like because to be honest, I don't have the tools to help them. I don't. And just throwing money at the situation is not also not going to help because it's gonna take some sort of private sector government organization, kind of government and private sector working together to help, like, kind of like, let's do something as far as like trying to get them let's get them off of drugs. Let's get them some sort of like medication for their mental conditions, whatever. Let's get them to the point where they are able to survive in society, and like and give them some sort of dignity, so they don't have to live on the street. Because that's gonna take some money, but you know what, like in the long run, I think it's gonna be better for the world to do something like that.
Yeah. Well, I personally think that the government, I, private, yes, public. I think the government should stay out as much as possible.
Yeah, and I do.
And they should really leave it to religious organizations like the church and such.
Like I said,
because again, like it's been my thing, like I don't recommend giving money out to just any homeless person, but like if someone from my mobile shower asked me, say, hey man, I need to catch a bus to get to some place, but
here's 20 bucks.
it's like $5. Yeah, I give it to him, not because like I'm such a great person, but because I know the guy.
Exactly.
I've cultivated a relationship with him, and
now,
so like the whole problem with the government is like they're this big, nameless, faceless, entity that just like gives you the money, no questions asked, as opposed to say like a local charity who builds relationships with people, and so like they're better equipped to be like, okay, I'll give you this money, but you got to do X, Y, and Z for the charity, or oh, because I know you, I know you're good for it, or I know like this won't be, this $5 won't find its way up your nose.
yeah, well, and that's where, like, see, that's where I agree with you. Like, we're staying out of it as much as possible. Is like, as far as like funding these private organizations that are already have the inroads with the homeless people.
Right.
Let's fund them. Like, give them some extra money to, like, to help, give them what they need to help the people that are already there. You know what I'm saying? And I think that instead of just giving it to, like, some sort of, we're funding $20 million to the homeless crisis, which is just going to some politician's pocket.
Or some NGO who's in bed with a politician and they get a kickback.
Exactly. That's not helping anybody. But let's use our tax dollars to help the people that already have the inroads, that are already doing the work. Let's give them the money to fix this crisis.
Right, exactly. And some of you might say like, oh, well, what's the difference then, like, us paying taxes for the government to take care of it, then us, like, putting something in the collection plate, as it were, to a church or to some charitable organization. It's like it's a big difference.
It's a huge fucking difference.
All right, yeah, because just for the reasons that we just specified right now, we're already in the community, we already made inroads, and we've already, and most importantly, we've already established relationships. So
exactly,
it's like yeah. So Tom, like, yeah, he's homeless, but like I know he's not a druggie, and I know if I gave him $5, it's not going to find its way up his nose.
Yeah.
As opposed to Tom getting a monthly check from the government, like, who doesn't care what he does with that money.
Oh, well, here's money for our safe needle program. Blah blah blah. And it's like that doesn't fucking help him. Yeah. That makes the things.
I mean, worse. Look at the scandals that are going on within our own city, or the county of Los Angeles. Like you had, like, city council members who were getting kickbacks on supposed shelters that are supposed to be built like in like the vacated industrial sector of uh, southern kind of like in Vernon, like in south of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But like it's been like what like the last program that happened was like it was supposed to be like 5 years ago, but then there was a scandal or something that they found out that that they put all this money into the sorry, the developer or the contractor, but then it's like there was just a kickback to the council member. Or
Yeah.
even like with like the supposed like metro line ambassadors or whatever, instead of armed fucking security guards. What is it, that lesbian dyke lady from the west side. But yeah, like she like her like a group that she got to be like the supposed like metro line ambassadors was headed by someone like one of her friends. And so like when they paid that organization, like she got a kickback.
Yeah. That's government for you. Like, I mean, it's all about like that's what I tell people all the time. It's like it's all about we spend $4 trillion in federal taxes, not including our state taxes,
Mm.
and yet all that money is going to what?
Yeah, who knows? Like, I want a fucking receipt.
Now there's some states where some of that stuff does have like, okay, like this amount of tax money is going to this thing, this amount of tax money is going to that thing. But when we look at California, that's not the case. Most of that money is gonna go to some politician's pocket, guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
That's why our roads are fucked up. That's why we have a goddamn like sinkhole to hell in Chatsworth. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably never gonna be fixed in anytime soon. Um,
Right. That's why the roads in fucking downtown are so shit.
they fucking suck.
Yeah, like they're all broken up and
In the
like
valley, they fucking suck.
yeah, and they're like pocked up everywhere.
And this is why like our homeless crisis is so fucking bad, is because it's like the money that's supposed to go to help these people is going to some like city councilman's pocket or some like mayor's pocket or whatever. It's not about like so people who are like kind of like in the Ebenezer Scrooge thing, like, oh well, I pay taxes, like that's helping things, right? No, it's not. It's not helping anybody. It's helping some politician get richer. And you think you're helping you by you voting for these certain measures that you think is helping the problem. It's actually not. It's actually making things worse. It's not helping anything.
Right. There was like they're like kind of like that measure that was supposed to help the poors or whatever, where they dropped like larceny crimes to misdemeanors. Like felony larceny was dropped down to a misdemeanor.
God,
And if you like only if you only stole if you stole less than $1,000, you couldn't be criminally prosecuted.
how does that help society?
Yeah, how's it? Yeah, seen any flash mobs recently?
Yeah.
Like those car meetup, that one car meetup, or that one like street takeover, where it's like the kids doing donuts or whatever, and then like the fucking flash mob robbed a 7-Eleven.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I mean that was something that was a big thing on the news.
Yeah,
How
and
could this have happened? Oh God!
right, and you see like constant videos of like people just like walking in with like fucking hockey bags, filling it with merchandise, and just walking out, and no one's saying boo to them.
Yeah, it almost makes me feel like, well, fuck. If that's the case, oh shit, I should do that because who's gonna stop me?
Exactly, and this is a dangerous game that these people are playing. Because sooner or later people are gonna understand that there are no rules.
Yeah,
And the thin veneer of civilization is going to blow away, and people are just gonna start, succumbing to their,
It's gonna be V for
lesser
Vendetta.
selves.
It's gonna be V for Vendetta. That's what it's gonna be. It's just gonna be like random anarchy.
Oh, okay. I got kind of confused because that was about a totalitarian fascist state.
But well,
But
what do you? That's
I know, yeah.
right.
But because I was talking about crime, it's like there was like no real crime until like V showed up. But you know what? That I'm thinking too hard about that.
It's all the same fucking thing. That's the problem.
Right? Yeah.
So, it's
But people need to wake the fuck up. I mean, and I'm not saying like you should go and like wake people up, because again, it's not on you to wake people up. It's you can point to certain things and be like, hey, isn't this interesting? But it's
right now that's all we can do. It's just kind of like point people in the right direction. It's like, hey, this looks a little weird. Why is this happening like this? Hey, isn't this interesting that we live in this type of society now as opposed to this? Does that make sense? And people are gonna look at us weird. That's fine. And people look at me weird now. That's fine. I don't care. But it's like I said, there's other stuff that's been in the news that's not really interesting. But I just I like what you do, Andy, and first of all, I think you do a great job of what you do, and I think that it's not you that needs to do more. There's more that can be done from society as a whole. People should be more concerned about like what you're doing to help like give people dignity, and it's not happening. And I think that sure, there like we've been talking about like the homeless crisis for it seems like what 3, 4, 5, 6 years now, and I don't think anything's been done like at all. Like it's just to me it's gotten consistently worse. And you notice how like when election time comes up, all of a sudden like all the homeless people are just kind of like scooted off to some other area. Like they're just like, oh, where was that homeless encampment that was there on this street and that street and this other street? They're gone. They're pushed off to some like to hide the fact that there's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? Like they cleaned up the streets for the fucking Oscars that they had in downtown.
Yeah,
Like heavens forbid if if Brad Pitt or whatever is coming down the red carpet and they see a homeless guy taking a shit in the planters.
oh, can you give me $5 for booze? Yeah, that's not right either. And those are the people. It's like, oh, we need to give them dignity, give them like clean needles and drug programs, and it's like no, fucking.
That's not giving people dignity.
And it's like you have the means to like make things better, and you don't.
No, and I mean it doesn't even take that much. It literally doesn't.
Honestly, like $20,000 goes a long fucking way if you give it to the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give it to the fucking to the government programs. Give it to the people that are already have the inroads, that are doing the work. Like $20,000 to the mobile shower program. God damn, you guys could do a lot with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I can't imagine what you guys could do with that. And I wish I had that amount of money to just give away to you guys.
Do I dare to dream?
Yeah, exactly. But there's so many but I know there's so many other, quote unquote mobile shower type programs like that have inroads with the homeless communities in whatever community that they're in, And it's like, goddamn, like $10,000, $5,000 would be a huge kick to their program
Mm-hmm.
that would make a difference.
Absolutely.
And yet we give, the money that we pay in taxes and all this other stuff, it's just going to some politician. It's like, well, I got richer, blah blah blah. It's like, great, it's like that. And if you don't pay them, like it's like the mafia.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. The powers that shouldn't be, they better be careful because, kind of like I was talking about how people are starting to see that there are no rules, and that what if one day and they better pray that the people don't smarten up like to this level, to the point where like there's nothing in the Constitution that says that we have to pay taxes.
That's right. We don't.
There's nothing. There's no law. There's no measure. There's no amendment saying you have to give such and such percent of your income or your, whatever you make to the government.
Yet we pay what, $4 trillion plus in taxes every fucking year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And the federal
right.
government will waste it in 3 minutes.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah, try making that stick. Say, oh, you have to pay us taxes. Where does it say, bitch?
What's the actual like amendment in the Constitution that like forces us to pay taxes? It's not there. It's not fucking
there.
We do it out of like out of some sort of like maybe like, oh, you guys are defending these things, we'll help you like fund that. But if you don't do that, like, stop paying fucking taxes. Like, to be honest, like, I've come to a point where it's like, you have like all these like, people are, oh, how could they not pay their taxes on time? Oh, well, all these corporate, it's like, why should they? Because the government fucking wastes that money. Like, we're giving like $40 million to Ukraine, 40 billion there, 20 billion there. Why? I don't want to pay it to some foreign government. Like, why are we giving them that money to these countries that fucking hate us, or to like some bullshit like it's like I'm all for like funding our military. I'm all for like funding stuff like to help like our veterans that have been injured in war. I'm all for like helping people in our country who are like disabled, or they can't help themselves. Like, they literally have disabilities that like they can't work, they can't do these things. I'm all for paying taxes to help those people. That's fine. But I'm tired of like paying taxes for these stupid programs that, one, don't do anything, or in the case of like our what we just talked about, like we're not helping the homeless that like they need. It's not just, they don't just need like food, but like it's like dignity, and like they need some sort of like extra help as far as like getting over their drug addiction, their mental problems, whatever they have. I'm all for paying for that, but like we're not helping that problem. We're just allowing them to live in squalor. That's not right.
Nope.
And what do I pay taxes for? That it's to help those people. That's what I pay taxes for. To have good streets, to have a good police force, to have
a good school for your kids,
good schools, to have a government that protects our borders, and to help the people that can't help themselves.
Right.
But we're not
we're not doing that. But just as an aside too, there's no measure in the Constitution again that says that the government isn't responsible for the borders.
But that's kind of like, that is the that is their
I know you could probably make it an argument for like the general welfare thing.
Yeah, it maybe it's one of those things where like, oh, well, look, we created a law that protects against lynching. It's like, well, we already kind of have that, but like now
was murder okay before?
Exactly. So it's like, we technically had a law before, but now you've created like uber law against like this particular problem. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like, well, general defense. Yeah, well, that's the fucking border. That's like that's why the Coast Guard does protect against like drug trafficking, sex trafficking, like all this stuff that like they are kind of like the border defense. We also have like border control, although that's been pretty much like negated. Um, but I can't think of anybody that does not live within like the southern, because this is not a northern problem. This is not like a North Dakota. All these Canadians in our fucking state, like that's not a North Dakota problem, or
Although
like
I think we should keep them dirty Canadians up too.
oh sure we should, but I'm just saying like there's not this like flood of Canadians coming into like North Dakota and Michigan and whatever. It's all coming from like uh, the southern border. We have like all these people like and it's not just people from like Central and South America that are coming over. It's people that are like coming into those countries in Central and South America from like Iraq and like whatever other country and coming into ours.
Right.
That's a problem. That's like it's just like the all I'm asking from like our government is like the fucking basics. Let's use our taxes to like care for our citizens. I'm all for that. That's fine. I don't mind having programs that help people who are like helpless that need help. That's great. I'm all for that. And on top of that, like I'm when I have the money to do it, like I'm all for like trying to help those people myself. But like at the same time, like fucking defend our fucking borders. Like don't just let like random drug traffickers, sex traffickers like into our country. Don't let all these like gang members and murderers and like whatever else into our country. Let's cut all that shit out. That's like one thing that I do agree with, like the Trump agenda is like, yeah, let's execute drug traffickers. Cool, great. Like I think that's a great thing. Because how many lives has that ruined? How many people die on drug overdose?
Indeed.
And how like most of the people that you probably deal with have been affected by the drug trafficking.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a but yeah, there's
Now,
I've dealt with my fair share. There's one guy who still comes out, but like he seemed like he was getting his stuff together, but it's something like things just didn't happen pan out for him, and he's still on the street, and there's some times that he shows up and like you could tell that he's on something, and
yeah,
and it's like,
and
and I mean, I'm not so callous to be like, oh no, get out of here, junkie. Of course,
right.
I extend him, compassion. It's like, make sure he gets something to eat, something to drink, and at least, at the very least, get cleaned up. I mean, if he's able to get himself over here, then,
You know
you
what?
know,
Give him some dignity, and like
mhm,
it's yes. Some people will say like, well, it's technically his fault for taking the drugs, blah blah blah. It's like, well, it is, but it also isn't at the same time.
right. Yeah, and that's the kind of thinking that, that pisses me off about, the people who, I mean, I understand, I get the argument, but who don't have the compassion for the kids who have like $50,000 in student loans or whatever, and and they're like, oh well, you didn't have to take the loans, like, or you didn't have to go to college. It's like, motherfucker, from the time that they're in second grade, they're saying go to school, go to school, go to school. If you don't go to
If
school,
you
you're a
don't, you're
fucking
a fucking
loser.
loser.
Exactly. And so it's like,
And
can
like
you
that,
really sit there? Can you really sit there with a straight face, tell me, oh well, those kids, they didn't have to go to college, and they didn't have to take the loans. It's like, are you fucking kidding me with that shit?
yeah, and to be honest, that's on our side. That's on our side saying that stuff. It's like, well,
Yeah.
that's that's a problem right there because they're not looking at the whole picture from the very moment that you're in school. If you're not like, oh well, If you haven't figured out what you want to do by the time you're in 7th grade, and you don't figure out like what college you're going to go to, you're a loser. And you're a loser. You're a loser. If you don't go to college, you're a loser. And it's like, well, how is that helpful? And so so not only are we not regulating, with the colleges who have just grown bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger with in our unfortunately, our parents' generation was like, oh well, you can just work your way through school.
Right.
It's not the case anymore. It's just not the case anymore.
Yeah, it's not like you take you get a summer job and you're able to pay for your next semester of schooling. Like that's not how it works.
I wish it
Like
was
you get a summer job and like maybe pay for like your books if if that, because again like the whole textbook racket is a scam too.
Yeah, you're fucking lucky if you can pay for your books.
Mm-hmm. Right, because again, like you can't buy like the old edition used. You have to get the new edition. When all they did is like add like a paragraph at the end of like each chapter or whatever.
An ampersand.
Yeah, an ampersand instead of and it took out the word and replaced it with an ampersand, which makes it more fancy.
Yeah, fucking bullshit. God, it's just it's that's another thing like where if anything like I didn't want to like bring this up as per se, but like this is like one of the when it comes to like the whole idea of like the Steven Crowder Daily Wire debate, this actually is part of the problem as far as like like supposedly these conservative quote unquote conservative organizations that they're just kind of like buying into like what's there. It's like, well, no, I don't want to like pay for college because, and to be honest, I don't when if I ever have kids, I'm not sending them to public school. I'm not sending them to college.
No.
Like, hell, fuck no. Because why? So they can get indoctrinated into some bullshit that like they're not actually learning anything.
Right, so they become like your kid will be half yellow, but if like so your
That's
kid
fucking-
could, so your kid could think that they're evil because of the color of their skin.
Yeah, exactly. Bullshit.
But yeah, and it's like and like again like and like what like is your kid supposed to kick how's like for your kid how's that supposed to work? It's like does your kid does one side of your kid get to whip the other side of your of your kid?
Exactly.
How does that self-flagellation how does that that flagellation work?
Well, you made me work on the railroads.
Yeah. I know, right? Yeah, it's like does the right foot kick the ass the right foot kick the left butt cheek?
Exactly. Fucking bullshit. And I and the things that we're supposed to stand for, like the the people that we look to that are like supposedly on our side of things, are they really defending like what we believe in? In a lot of cases, it's really not the case. And that's where you have to be careful and like who you side with.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, and even I haven't been able to substantiate, but it has been claimed that all of the billionaires that own the the big right wing media stuff like the Blaze and Daily Wire and PragerU, like they were funded by billionaires who made their money off of student loans.
Yeah. And now, I'm not saying that they haven't done good things. Sure, they have. I'm not saying
right, but
that.
I mean, yeah, I'm just like, yeah, but I'm pointing out the hypocrisy of like these people who are like, oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you need grit and stuff like that. Telling kids like, oh yeah, but take this unpayable, take on this unpayable debt that you cannot for whatever reason default on.
I think like one good thing about like this whole thing with this is like the fact that like now these like contracts that they're providing like for like new content creators, it's like, yeah, that's fucking bullshit. I would have signed that. Fuck that. If we were a bigger channel, and we were offered something like that, I would have told them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't take any like no matter what amount of money they threw at us. I would say no.
Based off of that contract, fuck no.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, but I don't really like anyone in that struggle. Really, if I'm to be honest.
I mean, we're so far away from that. I don't really care.
Right,
But
but I mean, just knowing the parties involved. Like, there's no one like I like the Daily Wire. You know, they produce some good stuff, but like I genuinely don't like them. You know, in Steven Kreider, I think as a person, he doesn't have integrity, and that there's no one that worked for him that said like that come out and be like, oh no, Steven Crowder is a good guy and blah 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 blah.
Well, I mean, like we have, I mean, I tend to agree more with like Owen Benjamin, who is I think have been like has way more integrity than all these guys. He's worked for both of them.
Right.
We have.
Yeah, but even like what's her face? Lauren Chen. She used to go by Romy Millennial. She even when the whole thing broke and she put in her 2 cents. She even said that Crowder offered her a job, and that he had like and like he lowballed her too.
Yeah.
And that and he took he took it personally when she turned down his offer. And she kind of softballed it or softened it up by saying like, oh well, like also the way I responded back to him by turning him down, his offer was kind of childish too. And like, but it's like whatever. He's an asshole.
Yeah. And like you said, it's like the whole idea of like stop Big Con and all that stuff is like, yeah, honestly, like all these people are like, now have they done good things? Sure. Do I listen to some of these guys? Sure, because I'm not saying like that all of what they've done is I'm not gonna throw all of it in the garbage. It's kind of the idea like what we talked about with, like Jordan Peterson. Everything like has everything he's done been horrible? No. I think there's been some good things that he's done, and I think that's something that we should like hang on to.
Yeah,
and then
good ideas, but like I have problems with Jordan Peterson, and
of course.
Yeah, and so like from going forward, I'll be very quick to qualify when I do reference him, because agreed. There's some good principles that he does expound on, and so but like as a person, he sucks.
Yeah.
He got addicted to meth, and while his wife was going under cancer treatments, he made it. He got himself put into rehab or whatever, and made it all about him. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, and I would agree with you.
Yeah, especially if he's supposed to be he's supposed to be like like the new like the right wing father figure. It's like clean your room, Bucko, and 12 rules for life and all that shit. But it's like you're like, dude, you're a fucking meth addict. How the hell am I supposed to ever take anything you say seriously?
Yeah, but these are also the people that we should be like looking to, that they should be like the leaders behind helping like fix some of the problems we just talked about. Those are the people that should be like really focused on like, let's fix the homeless crisis, like because obviously the government's not going to do it, so let us be the standard bearers and like trying to fix like these crises that like affect America, instead of just talking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They have they have the means, they have the connections to do such a thing, yet they don't.
Indeed.
And that's kind of like why I bring that up. It's like goddamn, like if they invested like $5,000 in like what you're doing, how would that help mobile shower? Like, god damn, that would make a huge fucking difference, right?
Oh yeah, more materials, more just be able to more resources.
That's where I like it. One guy that does seem to like kind of do that is like Dinesh D'Souza. Like he does invest in like programs that like help like, oh, we're gonna fix like this or this problem. Let's do it. Like, okay, I'm gonna invest. Like,
Yeah,
because he has some wealth, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna invest $10,000 in this thing, like, because I know it's gonna
right.
help.
Or yeah, like or going back to your again, this is critical. Yeah, like what if like they took like these billionaires that help fund Daily Wire, Blaze, PragerU and stuff. What if they took their resources and created their own like tabulation machine company? Like
Exactly.
people knew about Dominion back like in 2008. All right,
The like
CNN did a hit piece on Dominion.
exactly. The Democrats were bitching about Dominion back like before like Obama got in office.
Exactly. So yeah, what if they took their considerable resources to start their own like tabulation firm or you know vote machine company? Because like before Dominion became like the sole proprietor for our elections, there are at least seven different companies that made uh, you know tabulation machines or voting machines. But now we only use one, or
Right.
there is only one company now, Dominion.
Yeah, it's stupid.
It's stupid, and it's like, and what is it? The right has to be more adaptable, and like, if we keep, like we can't like keep complaining about like, oh, like they changed the rules. That's not fair. It's like start using their rules. Like what is it? The last few elections in California, the Republicans were actually able to. We got freaking seats in the House in California for Republicans
I
because
know
they
it's crazy, right?
because they adopted the harvesting tactic that the left
Yep,
uses.
exactly.
And so like we have to play by their rules now.
So
I'm not
use
saying
your
I'm not
rules.
saying be unscrupulous. I'm not saying not to be unscrupulous, but I'm just saying use their tactics. If they're saying, oh, it's completely legal. It's legal for ballot harvesting in
Yeah,
California, right? So why?
here's
So yeah, use that to the Republican advantage.
use the rules that are legal that are already in place that the Democrats use, and then fucking change the goddamn rules when you get in power.
There you go. Yeah, because we can't keep like cross our arms and huff it like it's like they
Oh,
cheated. They
how
changed the
could they?
rules.
I'm tired of it. I'm so fucking tired of it.
Yeah, and then with that we can maybe finally get some people in like with a shred of integrity. I'm not saying I
I,
want I'm not saying I want a Congress full of Jesus Christ. I'm just saying with a shred, a modicum of integrity. Let's get those
I
people
can
in.
count on my two hands some politicians that actually have some fucking backbone
Hmm.
that might actually be able to do something. But unfortunately, that's not enough. Like in our government, it's just not enough.
No, it's not. Yeah, but because like what Andrew Breitbart said, what is it? Culture is downstream. No, politics is downstream from culture. So we have to change the culture before we can change the government.
Yeah, and I think like there is starting to be like a slight shift
Hmm.
in that. Like, how many of these like things like of like all the gay and transgender stuff like as far as like movies and shows have fucking tanked.
Yeah,
And
like what was it? Like that the gay rom com Bros that tanked. Fucking Lightyear tanked. Strange Worlds, made by Disney that tanked.
they
Yeah,
didn't even
people are
show
starting to see,
like
dude.
back.
Why do you think I keep why do you think I keep calling out homos and calling everything gay?
It's like
Like mojitos.
they didn't even show that they spent $90 million on like Batwoman. They like fuck that movie. We're not gonna even show that.
Yeah,
To the point where like,
it was a completed movie. It was a completed movie, and they're like, "No, we're gonna shelve this one." I mean, yeah, Warner,
I'm almost
Warner gets a
curious.
tax break.
It's like, God damn, that must be really horrible. I'm almost curious to watch it. Yeah, that's.
I know it's that morbid curiosity. It's like, how bad
I'm like,
is it?
how bad is this? Like, fuck. You know,
I mean, given the fact that they race swapped, Barbara Gordon, and they made her into a lesbian, and on and on and on. Given those points, I have a weird, morbid curiosity.
Is it gonna be like worse than like Wizzo the Clown in the Christmas Circus?
Oh God, I don't know if anything's that horrible.
You really fucking hated that movie.
I
know.
really fucking hate that movie.
You were so mad when I showed that to you.
I know. I was like, what the fuck is this garbage?
You were so mad.
I was so mad. Yeah, you people have no idea how much I hate that movie.
God, I almost put that in our schlock review, but our schlock month.
Yeah, Schlocktober. Yeah, if you had done that, I would have burned this podcast down to the ground.
That's
right. I would have nuked it from high orbit. No more.
But yeah, I mean, we just have to start doing better as far as like our whatever conservative thing. What are we conserving? Oh, it's the Democrats. They're the real homophobes. They're the real this, that. It's like, no, it's like, stop. They don't fucking give a shit. Like, they're gonna.
Right. They don't care that what names you call them. For some reason, decent folk and and some Republicans, they care greatly about what people call them. And what is all does it do is waste your time and energy trying to defend on something that doesn't even exist. Like you're not a racist, so don't even entertain that idea.
Stop wasting your time with that. Stop. Who gives a shit? Like if they call you that, like
right? They say that you're a racist, and you say "fuck you, nigger," and then you keep going.
Yeah, and you've already won the argument, and you say exactly what Andy just said. You're fine.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that's you just have to like go. You just have to like do the whole. Like Fred Williamson and just like as far as like with Boss and like you sing the same song because you've already won.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter. They already think you are that thing. They already think that you're a racist, or they already think you're a homophobe, or they think you're a transphobe. It's like then you just move along. You go suck my dick, bitch, and keep moving.
Yeah,
don't stop.
But we
they already think that you are these. They already believe in their heart of hearts that you are those things.
Oh, how can they call me that? Oh no! Oh.
Right? It's like, you already think that I am this. Who cares?
Shut up. Stop being such a fucking fag. Just get over it.
Right? Yeah. That's why I continually use the proper use of gay. That is gay. You are gay. Don't be a homo.
Exactly. I actually didn't think we were gonna go this long on this.
Neither did I. But
see, this is what I'm talking about. Like sometimes, like we really didn't have a whole bunch planned, but like, hey, it worked out. Did you want to talk about the whole? You had a topic that you wanted to kind of delve on. Do you want to talk about that?
I'd rather not, because I'm not well read up on it. So yeah, we could definitely talk about this, but we could save it for maybe next week.
You want to save it for next week? We can do that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, because I still need to watch the relevant materials and do the research.
Because I'm a little bit more up to date on that than you are. So yeah, I'm fine with waiting for another week because
Okay.
I do agree with some of the the other people on that, and yeah, I think that'll be fine. That works for me.
All right. Yeah, because I know we went long. You just want to do like a lightning round of like topics, and then we could do the movie
Sure.
review.
Well, a quick update on we talked about like all the stuff that's going on the movie set of Rust with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Um, so it turns out that he is going to be now this doesn't mean that he's going to prison. I'm pretty sure he's not going to go to prison, but he has been for I think it's involuntary manslaughter or whatever. Uh, so here's the thing. It's not just him, but the fact that there's other people involved in the production that have taken plea deals that are all like, hey, this happened, and like, I'm just gonna like cop to it, and they are like essentially other people are pleading guilty to this, and so we talked about Alec Baldwin. He went on ABC with George Stephanopoulos, the warm blanket to for the warm blanket for Democrats to like, I no, there's no thing, it was just a horrible accident. I didn't know that the prop gun was loaded with like, real bullets, blah 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 blah. Well, that's actually like everything that he said was essentially bullshit. Like it's sure maybe he didn't do it on purpose. I don't think he was going to there to kill uh, the DP and injure the director. Sure, I think that's true, but the fact that there were actual bullets all over the set, they weren't in like one location. They were all over the set, and the fact that he didn't check the gun himself, we saw evidence of him pulling the trigger on camera. Uh, Makes me think that like this guy is one he's the executive producer, so he already has some liability there, but he's also the actor in the film who was not paying attention, did not check what like, and you have an inexperienced arms
Armor.
master for the armorer for the film. You have a bunch of people who were pissed
Oh yeah,
off.
and you had like what is it, staff or production team that that were under like the miserable conditions.
Yeah,
They
and he didn't check the gun himself. It's like, hey, is this gun loaded? Don't just take their word for it. Take a look at it. It's like, are these real bullets? And like,
3 seconds.
open up the
3 seconds.
gun. Take 3 seconds. Open up the gun for yourself. Are these real bullets or are these blanks? If they say like, oh no, these are blanks. Okay, I've looked at them. You saying they're blanks? Okay, fine. Clank. Yeah, it's like, but don't like, and
Or
like,
yeah, or like the supposedly like it's apparent, the difference between actual like live ammunition and a blank cartridge. Like the
it's
difference
a
is
fucking
blatant.
huge
It's blatant.
difference.
It's blatant. It's blatant.
It's a fucking
So there wouldn't be
the
any
way.
way to say like, oh, I thought they were blanks. Like no, like
But
there is a difference.
yeah, there's a huge fucking difference. And yet, but yeah, I to be honest, I'm actually fucking shocked that there's gonna be
Right.
any
Yeah.
charges pressed.
Right. I'm surprised that he got charged, but yeah. Am I expecting him to go to
And
jail?
he's not the only one. That's the thing.
Not
That's the
really.
crazy part. It's several people that are being charged with the same fucking problem, the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now, and because some of the other people that were charged took plea deals.
Mm-hmm.
They already took plea deals already. Like, cause they like, I'm guilty. Fuck it. You know, I'm gonna sing
Yeah,
like a
he's gonna plead down. They're gonna plead down.
exactly. That's a fucking huge deal. Huge.
Yeah, which probably means that they're ready to like roll over on Baldwin.
As they should be. But man, this is and like I said, I don't think this was done on purpose. I don't think he intended to murder somebody. It's not like some premeditated thing. It's not like like I said, I wouldn't say it's even like second degree murder. Like I think the charge is appropriate, like involuntary manslaughter.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just like it's negligence.
Right.
Just
Oh yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could even be a negligent homicide.
yeah, exactly. I think it's close to that. Like it's just like you're just not paying attention. You're being a dumbass
Mm-hmm.
on
Right.
everything.
It's just
And
like
I know it's
yeah,
a
it's
low
like driving. It's like yeah, it would be the same as driving your car, after rain and then not slowing down when you hit a puddle and then skidding out and then like killing an old lady crossing the street. That's
exactly.
what it'd be.
And how and I know this was like a low budget production. Obviously, it was.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I was actually like kind of curious about the movie. I would really like to see this movie. It sounded awesome. But like, there's all these like low budget productions that get made. No deaths. No one's dying in those films.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many like horror films have we watched that are like under like oh, I made this for $1 million, and it's
Right, and like yeah, like the stuff that they do, like like using like prop knives and things like that, and like there's never been accidental stabbing.
yeah, like Bone Tomahawk wasn't. It was made for uh, nothing,
Yeah, for a
and yet like
catering budget, on a catering
yeah,
budget.
and no, who was injured on that film? Nobody. Exactly, and yet this film had so many like it was low budget, had all these problems, and somebody it not only was like a DP killed, you had the director that was injured at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. Like it's like, come on, yet it's because you guys were negligent. You hired the wrong people. You have people
Yeah,
that were irresponsible.
you cut too many corners.
Yeah, it's just like come on, like there is some responsibility. Like, and even if they like don't get arrested, there's gonna be a civil trial where they're gonna pay out money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what is it?
They are
Yeah,
Baldwin.
Elena Hutchins, the cinematographer or the cinematographer that was killed. Her husband is gonna go after him.
Yeah, like I said, like I said, Baldwin's probably not gonna go to jail. I'm fairly certain of that.
Mm-hmm.
There is gonna be a civil trial. He's gonna pay money. I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
like it just he's going to pay millions of dollars to that family, and to be honest, that's not enough. You can't that though that money is not going to replace that mom that kid's not going to have. That's not going to
Right.
replace the wife that
Mm-hmm.
husband's not going to have. I'm sorry, it's just
Right.
not going to happen. But
Yeah.
it's something. It's some sort of like
Yeah. I mean,
some
will it be
sort
a
of
nice little college fund for the kid? Yeah.
sure. But it's still it's not the
Yeah,
same
of course.
person.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't replace the mother,
That
of
person's
course.
life is priceless.
Mm-hmm.
You can't replace that.
Of course. Of course.
So,
But yeah.
but I'm to be honest, I'm shocked that there's even charges that are going to be like presented in this case.
Mm-hmm.
When I heard that, I was like, get the fuck out of here! Really? Wow. And the fact that there's other people that were on the production set that have copped plea deals, to that they're like, hey, I'm gonna spill the beans. Fuck it. Like it's just like this film set it was horrible.
Yeah.
And
They're like, it's not worth
I'm
it.
partly responsible. They're saying, by the fact that they're copying plea deals, they're saying that they're responsible.
Right.
That
Yeah. They're not
that's
saying that it was intentional, but like they're saying that yeah, I bear responsibility for this woman's death.
that's insane. Wow, I can't. I'm shocked because I assume that like this is gonna, like a Western, was gonna ride off into the sunset, and we would never hear anything about this again.
Or at the very least, I thought this was gonna be memory hold, and where you'll never go into like criminally, and then like a few like like a year or two later, we'll find out like there was a civil trial, and Baldwin is expected to pay such and such the family. That's what I was expecting.
But the fact that there's going to be a criminal trial, Jesus, wow! I did not expect that.
Yeah, plot twist.
Yeah, with his fake Spanish wife and everything.
His fake Spanish wife. Oh, how you say cucumber?
Cucumber. That never gets old.
Yeah, Alec Baldwin, his fake Spanish wife.
Oh God, she's not Spanish.
Dude, like, how did you think that you're gonna get away with that shit? This is the age of the internet.
God, she's not Spanish at all.
Yeah, like not even born in Spain. Like she was born in Boston. She went to all the hoity-toity, WASP schools.
She was born here, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was born in Boston. Yeah, she went to private schools for with all the other WASP children.
Now, if she had like a Boston accent, like that's one thing, but like, fuck, she faked that Spanish fucking accent. Oh my God.
Oh, how you say cucumber?
Oh my God.
Yeah, like she for some reason she thought Facebook wasn't a thing.
Oh my God. Such fucking bullshit, dude.
Utter bullshit. Yeah. Insert clip of Joe Pesci from My Cousin Vinny. Everything she said was bullshit.
Everything the guy said was bullshit. Yeah, but like I said, I'm actually shocked that there's going to be any sort of criminal trial with this.
Yeah.
That's to me, that's huge, and I'm sure, like, to be honest, the person that was killed, that I'm sure, like, I have nothing in common with her politically or otherwise, but at the same time, it's like her kid doesn't have a mom, her husband doesn't have a wife. It's really horrible that happened. It should not have happened. If people were paying more attention and had the production been more under control, and Baldwin, he's probably, like I said, he's probably not gonna get charged. He's not gonna go to prison for like 5 years or whatever the hell the maximum is. But there is gonna be some sort of recompense for like what happened here. He is responsible. Mm-hmm. He is the executive producer of this project.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, when you boil it down, he was the one holding the gun. Whether like, it doesn't matter, like, if he says like, it doesn't matter if he says like, oh, I don't remember, pulling the trigger. It's like, but you were, and we have like the footage. But it's like, even beyond that, it's like you were holding the gun. You admit that much at least. Therefore, you do bear some responsibility for this woman's death.
Yeah, and there's gonna be some sort of like multi-million-dollar settlement out of this. What that amounts to be, who knows?
Of course.
And that's not. It's like I said, it's not gonna replace that person in that family. It's not gonna replace them. It doesn't matter if it's $100 million. That's not going to replace that person in that child's life and that husband's life. It's not going to replace. It's just not.
Yeah, and I mean, like that woman's parents, if she had siblings, and on and on and on and on.
It's not going to replace that person. But it's something. It's something. But yeah, I figured it'd be like kind of good to follow up on that, just because It has been in the news, although it's been kind of stuffed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It hasn't. Yeah. I mean, all the stupid stuff that's going on now to kind of like cover for that, or
But like I said, I thought it was worthy of a review coming back to that story.
mm,
Is there anything else you want to get to before the movie review?
uh, no, not particularly. I think. Yeah. I mean, do you want to cover the WF thing or
Oh yeah, that's right. We were talking about that.
you know?
You know, we I think we've talked about like this stuff before, but doesn't it feel like that this World Economic Forum just is like it's like perpetually going on. It's not just like
Yeah,
before it was like, oh, it's like one time a year, but doesn't it feel like it's always going on now? Like we always hear about it.
a little bit. Yeah, and it might be just because it's always like in the news or like because Klaus Schwab is always like running his mouth. But yeah, I mean, it also could just be like kind of like bleeding in because like there's like the G7 summit and all like these other like environmental things that are taking place, all these environmental conferences, and now a lot of the topics of discussion at the World Economic Forum are have to do with like climate and pollution stuff. So
Yeah.
that might be why it feels like the the World Economic Forum seems to be happening like all the time.
Yeah, it's just like it seems like it's always happening and they're talking about the same fucking thing. And but not only are like you have these like multi-billionaire uh multi-billionaires that are like like Klaus Schwab and whatever, but you have like the CEOs of Pfizer, and you have American government officials. You have like world government officials that are there,
Mm.
and I think to a certain extent, which is semi encouraging, is that people are starting to wake up to this. Like, wait, that doesn't sound good. Like, this is fucking crazy. Why are
Mm.
these why are these people meeting there? And you have like you have some of the conservative news organizations that are starting to infiltrate this place,
Mm-hmm.
like asking the tough questions. Now they're not going to get any answers, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
because these people don't they don't want to answer those questions. But at least there's some sort of like pushback, and like maybe I don't know if it's going to do anything, but like there's some sort of pushback at least. And I think like the public as a whole is starting to say, wait a second, this doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
Why are the these big companies and the government coming together and talking about like this new world order? That seems a little weird. It honestly, like when this stuff happens, it's like people are like, maybe Alex Jones wasn't as crazy as we thought.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like really weird when you see like members of your own government, you know, over there. It's like, why are you over there and not doing the job you're supposed to be doing, and which is
exactly. That's the other thing. It's like, why are you not like in our country doing what you're supposed to do? And I don't know if it was like I don't know all of the of our government officials that were over there dealing with over at the World Economic Forum.
mm,
If there was any conservatives over there, like I would immediately, if I had the ability to vote for them, I would stop because it's
yeah.
like you're
Yeah, I forget who was over there, but I think it was mostly rhinos. Kristen Cinema was there. for some
Oh
reason,
yeah,
wearing a dead dog.
person I would never vote for to begin with.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I know she went independent or whatever, but she still caucuses with the Democrats.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
So
why?
whatever that fucking means.
And I think that like the majority of the country, like most of the country, like is like, wait a second, this doesn't feel right. Like, why are we voting for these people again?
Mhm.
And even if like you're not like for, I think we need to get to a point like we're not voting for like party, but like we're just, can we like preserve the country for a second? Can we
Right.
like not like have like our borders infiltrated? Can we not have like all this other like? Can we not like? Can we stop giving money over to countries that hate us? Can we do that at least? And I think the majority of the country is that way. And can we stop voting for the people that like want to destroy us? Can we do that? I think most of the people are in that direction,
Hmm.
but unfortunately, we're at a point like where it just doesn't, where the voting is all cheated out. We're not like people who are dead are like voting and stuff like that. No, um, yeah, it's just. I think we're getting to a point where I think the people are gonna revolt at some point. Like, it is gonna be. There's gonna come a point where like I think we need to fucking overthrow the government. I think we're gonna have another revolutionary moment to preserve the country.
Right. But yeah, I would advise not to take any proactive action.
No, it's like
I think it's I think it should always be defensive. We should always be fighting defensive wars.
yeah.
Um,
I'm just saying like it's gonna be a defensive measure because
right.
I think like like I said, the people that are more like you and me, we're not gonna go over to like we're not gonna have a January 6th moment. That's not gonna happen. You and I are not gonna do that.
Oh hell no.
No, it's a fucking trap for
Hmm.
one. And I think we respect our the institutions enough, or we're not gonna do that. But if the government is constantly encroaching upon our homes and like on our laws, I think that is going to come a point where like we have to push back.
Hmm.
Like I said in football, like encroachment that's an illegal move. You can't encroach upon like what we have. We are legally entitled to this, but yet you are encroaching on our what we have that's entitled to us,
Hmm.
and yet you expect no repercussion. Fuck that. No, we are going to push back when you encroach on our thing.
Indeed.
Um, and that's kind of like what I'm seeing. Like we're gonna there's gonna come a point where the encroachment becomes so offensive that we
Hmm.
are gonna have to push back.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Not like in over like it's not necessarily like a Revolutionary War two or something like that, but like it's
Hmm.
there's gonna come a point where it's like you are not living up to the standards of the Constitution, and you are encroaching upon what is legally ours. So we are going to fight back. That's what's gonna happen. And it's not like we're gonna like take more territory or whatever, but like we are going to fight back against like what is already there, and we're gonna
Right.
like
No, it's yeah.
reestablish.
It's always yeah. It's not. We're not gonna go to you. If you come to us, then we will respond. It's kind of yeah. It's kind of like that MMA fighter whose name escapes me, but he in that conference he was talking about like yeah. It's like if if like Russians aren't coming to me or coming to us. So why are we getting why are we trying to stirring up the hornet's nest over there? If the fight comes to it comes to where I live, the fighter he comes from Arkansas. Like if they come to Arkansas and they come to my they come to my home, and yeah, I will, be boots on the ground, rifle to the shoulder, ready to go. But not until that time.
I think of Muhammad Ali saying no Viet Cong called me nigger.
Yeah.
It's and to be honest, he's right. It's they weren't encroaching on his on him. It's it was America that was encroaching on Muhammad Ali.
Or the American, or the government of the United States.
And to be honest, he was right. He was absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
I 100%. I don't necessarily agree with him 100%, but I in this case, yeah, I totally agree. Why would he go fight for a government that hated him?
Yeah, that at the time, they literally thought lesser of him because of his skin color.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit. Oh man, that never gets old.
Nope, it never does.
But right. Yeah, I just wanted. Sorry, we've definitely gone into the weeds, but like I said, we didn't necessarily have a topic necessarily to talk about, but that's kind of the way I planned it this week, just because, yeah, it's just the way that worked out, and I think we talked about things that are way more important than what is in the news, which is essentially nothing.
Right. Exactly. Couldn't agree with you more. All right. Well, I mean, I think that was the last of the topics really that we had. So I guess we can get into our movie review.
Let's do it. I'm gonna go pee real quick. You give the people their the synopsis.
All right, I will do. Just to remind you folks, tonight the movie review is I Saw the Devil from 2010, starring again min-sik and byung-hun. Here, let me get y'all with the synopsis and we'll get going. On a dark road, taxi driver Kyung-chul comes across a scared female motorist stranded in a broken down vehicle. He pulls over, but not to help her. When the woman's head is discovered in a local river, her devastated fiancé, Kim Soo-hyun, a trained secret agent, becomes obsessed with hunting down her killer. Once he finds Kyung-chul, things get twisted. After brutally beating the murderer, Kim lets him go free, and a demented game of cat and mouse begins. Again, I Saw the Devil from 2012. Director Kim Jee-woon. Budget of $6 million US and made $13 million. So doubling its money, or at least not good job, good for them. This movie was very twisted. It's categorized as an action thriller, but I dare say that there were some elements of horror in it. I didn't even know of this movie's existence until Rob told me about it. But again, one of the selling points for this movie was that it starred, Che Min-sik of Old Boy fame. He played the main character in that. And he goes on to play the villain in this movie, and he does a superb job of that. He is utterly menacing and terrifying to behold in this movie. His character is kind of like a great white shark. It's there's nothing behind the eyes, no life, no sense of human morality. And And Rob's back. Good. I really didn't say anything.
Sorry about that. Sorry, I was talking about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, which I kept close to the chest, just so like when we actually talk about it, you'll be surprised. Um, Count of Monte Cristo. Yeah, live your life. Mm. Right. That's not what the main character decides to do. Um, yeah. Yeah, it's one of those in the categories. I wouldn't say that this was a good movie, but it was. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just rips your guts out. Mm. Yeah, but I mean, but that opening scene, that's a statement. That's a statement piece, where it's like this movie is fucked up, and this is the level of fucked up that it's gonna be. Mm. 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 Right. Mm. Mm. Uh huh. Right. Mm. Right. Right. Mm. Right. Oh, shoot, son of a bitch.
He did
Sorry.
so well.
Right. You're saying that there was a law that was passed. Sorry, your thing was muted. But there was a law passed in Korea where it limited the number of foreign films to protect the domestic, uh, you know, the domestic production of films
Exactly.
in
And so
Korea.
this is the first film that Choi Min-sik did after that law was passed in Korea.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, this film is like so fucked up. God damn, it's so fucked up. Like that first scene, like where, so you have the main character. What the hell is his name? Sorry, let me look up his name real quick again.
I think I have it real fast.
So there was Lee Byung-hun was the main character. His character's name was
Sukyung.
Sukyun.
Yeah.
He was part of like the NIS, and his wife was so nice. You know, she was doing something so innocent. Like she was like caring for like
She went to
orphans.
go visit. Yeah, she went to go visit an orphanage of all places.
Yeah, and she had a tire that blew out in like the middle of a snowstorm in Korea, and so
Mhm.
she was waiting for the tow truck to fix her car. Um, and this guy just comes up and like you and like for me, I know, yeah. Even though I when I first watched the film, I was like, okay, I know this film is fucked up. I had heard everything about this film about it being like so messed up,
Mhm.
and it's like, oh god, she's gonna die. I just know it. And I think I actually think this film was, if I remember correctly, this film was part of the 101 top horror moments in film
Mhm.
where she's waiting for the tow truck. This guy shows up. It's like, oh, I'll fix your tire, and then it's like, oh no, it's okay. I'm gonna wait for the tow truck, and he bashes in the fucking window
Yeah.
and just beats her to death. And it's just like, oh my
Well, yeah. Well,
god, not
not in
death,
that moment. He beats her to like unconsciousness.
but like, oh, that scene is so horrific.
Yeah.
It's so horrible.
Yeah. It's just like because it's like he goes away and then she's like wait she just sits and waits in the truck, but like she's in her car and it's like she notices that he hasn't left, and so it's like she gets like her intuition starts to tingle a little bit. She turns on her eye beams, and then boom, right there, there he is wielding a fucking pipe and smashes her windshield.
Fuck.
And it's just like, god damn, dude.
He beats the shit out of her. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's just it. Uh, I I I was. I mean, I knew it was coming, but like it's still like it just broke me. I couldn't deal with that scene. It was just it's too much.
Right.
And the fact that like he brings her back to like his lair,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it's like, please just don't kill me. Like I have I'm pregnant. I have a baby,
Mm-hmm.
and he just stabs the shit. He just kills her.
Just hacks her. Yeah, hacks her up.
Oh.
It's,
And the fact that like her dad finds the fucking head.
well, yeah, not really, but
Right.
he does kind of like see a glimpse because they're handling it, and then like because like the press or whatever started like swarming the CIA tech, the CSI tech, and like he fumbles the head, and it's like, oh shit, and when that happened, it's like, oh no, they just didn't do that,
Yeah, it's fucked up. Like, but like you said, the guy sees the fucking head.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like, and obviously, and the husband sees it too. And I, if I was that guy, yeah, I want vengeance. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find this guy, and I'm gonna like fucking torture him. Similar to like a law-abiding citizen.
Right.
Yeah, this
Right.
would that would have been a great movie for this month too, but we've already reviewed it, so I didn't include it. But like, yeah, I totally understand the vengeance that you want.
Mhm.
And so our main character, who goes on this journey to like, I'm gonna find this guy. And like
Yeah,
who?
but yeah, I'm not just gonna bring him to justice. I want him to fucking like pay.
Oh, he was gonna kill him. It's
Yeah,
just like he wanted to torture him first,
right,
and honestly, like I'm all for it. I totally
right.
get it. And
Although, yeah, I don't like. I mean, I know he's not necessarily an investigator, and so I don't think like because like he initially gets like that first. He gets the first like usual suspects dossier.
yeah,
And and he goes after that one guy, and I think that was messed up, because like he essentially assaulted an innocent person.
but he didn't though. That guy was not innocent.
I know, but he wasn't guilty of his wife's
Sure, he
murder.
was. Okay, I'm
Right. He
sorry.
was a piece of shit. He was a piece of shit. But in
The
the
guy was
in
a child molester. Who gives a shit?
right, I know. Okay, but he didn't. Yes, he was a piece of shit. Granted, but he did assault the wrong guy.
I'm sorry. Yes, he did.
I know.
I'm not sorry that he did that.
Okay,
That guy.
I'm not saying that he didn't deserve like his junk to be smashed in. No, okay, I'm just saying, it's a little sloppy, is just what I'm
Sure,
saying.
sure it was. That dude deserved to have his cock smashed in. I'm sorry, he did.
Okay, all right,
I'm
fair
sorry.
point, fair point.
Sorry, he did.
Fair point. Okay, fair point. I'm just more meticulous, but yeah, you're right. Okay, he was a child. He diddled kids, so yes,
Sorry.
he should have had his cock chopped off. If we're gonna go that far.
Yeah.
Um,
So, but he was also like, but he was a. It wasn't just kids that he did. He did women too. That's like he
yeah,
was part of like the dossier.
mm,
Um,
yeah, he was a
and
rapist. Yeah.
yeah, he was a fucked up person. Sorry, deserves to have his cock smashed in. I'm sorry, he did.
All right. Anyways, but yeah, it's people might be thrown off because of how quickly he gets to the actual killer.
Dude, he does. So like that's the thing. We find like we know who the killer is.
Right. Yeah. There's no ambiguity. There's no we know.
This is very Hitchcockian. We
Yeah.
know who the killer is. We know like, but then our protagonist, he catches up to the guy very early. Like I think it's like 30 minutes into the film.
Yeah, 30 minutes. Yeah, I was surprised too because it's like, damn, he got him pretty fast.
It's like, okay, like
yeah, and like almost, and I mean, I don't know like what the in-universe time was, but like very like minimal like investigation. He just like put out this fake
2
thing
weeks,
about
3 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, he asked for 2 weeks, but I mean, I don't know how long in universe that was. Like him finding that first like human piece of shit, and then moving on to the next guy, who just so happens to be, the killer, and then doing like this little like kind of like sneaky thing where it's like, oh yeah, I'm an insurance guy, and your son took out a insurance policy and blah 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 blah. And then because and then like finding where he lives, and then happening upon like all of this incriminating. He basically finds the trophy case of all his victims, and then he then goes and finds basically the torture chamber and finds his wife's ring in the drainage catch.
Oh, yeah, that was. God, that was horrible.
And so it's like no more bones about it. This guy is the killer. I mean, if not the trophy case was dead giveaway, then the ring just solidified.
And this was not the first one he's done this to. He had done it
exactly
to,
right. Yeah, he had a record of like
many.
Yeah, he had a record of like allegations towards him, but then I guess nothing was able to
Well, we saw that
stick.
that whole like trophy case, like it was a whole cabinet of like trophies.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah, it's like a file cabinet full of like bras and
100.
Yeah, maybe. Although, yeah, it's so funny because like if he was this active, like how could like authorities not like get him on something?
Maybe it was like with a Henry Portrait of a serial killer, where he was just doing it like different ways at different. He didn't have the same MO. He was just
Well, I
killing
mean,
them.
it seemed like well, he killed them, yes, but he chopped them up always.
Maybe he didn't though. That's the thing.
Okay, well, I mean, we don't know like how sophisticated he was in his murder, but but basically it ran the same way. Like he physically attacked them, and while they're probably knocked out, he raped them, and then he chops them up. Like he chops up like the guy the main character's wife, with a fucking hatchet. And then and then the second girl that we see him kill, like he fucking guillotines her.
Well, maybe he like chopped them up in different ways and like kept spreading like the body parts every which way, and so they weren't able to like figure it out.
Maybe, but even still, that's a signature. Like being like
True.
chopped up body parts, that's a signature.
True. But yeah, he had a bunch of trophies, so he's been doing this for a long time. But we like I said, we find our main character finds the killer like literally like 30 minutes into the movie. It's crazy how fast.
Of course, yeah. Of course, in universe, we don't know how long it's been.
Yeah, so I'm assuming like a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month.
Well, since he asked for 2 weeks, let's say that he's decent investigator. Let's say that he was he found the first guy within 3 days of that 2 weeks, and then he was able to find the killer in, let's say, 4 days. So he already spent a week.
Yeah.
And plus, like the when ultimately when he does have that confrontation and and stick the tracker in him, he the reason why he does this is obviously he has a lot of time before the supposed 2 weeks is up. So let's say like he has at least a week left over in time.
Yeah. But yeah,
because he's like really pissed off, and so like we don't like he was probably really motivated to find him, and so let's say that he has a week remaining. He wants to utilize all 7 of those days.
That's where but that's the thing is like we find the killer like literally like 30 minutes into the film. It's like, fuck, we have an hour left to go. Mm-hmm. What is gonna happen here?
Right.
And it's like you're like, kill him. He doesn't kill him. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm gonna I want to make you suffer like my wife suffered, like I've suffered. And he does all these tactics to torture him, and yet I think that was like, we've done all these like revenge films, mm-hmm. and I think this is the film that like answers like, was this really worth it? Because there are lives that get cost at the end of this film that would have lived had he just killed the guy. And like I said, I'm all for killing the guy. The guy deserves to die. Mm. But you were trying to find some sort of a vengeance that like was not possible. Your wife is not going to come back. Mm-hmm. Your baby is not going to come back. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and when he finds out that she was pregnant at the time, it's just like another one of those things where it's like rips your guts out.
Oh, dude, yeah.
We know, but then like when we see his reaction finding out that she was pregnant when she died, it's like,
dude, it's fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Like her dad and him finding they know at the same time. And it's just like, oh my god, this is really horrible.
Yeah, it's rough. This movie is super rough.
Like this felt like Wind River all over again.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also funny because, like, because like, again, in the synopsis that I read, it talks about how, the main character, Soo-hyun, he engages in like this cat and mouse thing where, in the first confrontation, he beats the shit out of the killer and shoves a tracker into him, and so
He should have
he's
just killed him then,
he
because
should have just killed him then, yes. But he again, he wants to, it kind of like in Law Abiding Citizen, he wants to inflict as much pain on him as possible, and he knows that, like, given his like pathology, like, this guy is not a human. This guy has no, moral compass,
and I totally agree with that.
and
That
so, like,
person
the only
is not
thing he can do is physically harm him.
yeah, and I do agree with that, because this person is not a human. He's a monster. He deserves everything that he got.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, like, had he just killed him outright, lives were forfeited because of that mistake.
Right. Right. And so, right, but but I also thought it was pretty interesting that, like, the killer goes on, like, kind of like this odyssey, and he happens to run into, like, the worst of the worst in Korea. It seems, because, like, uh, after he gets, tagged with the tracking device, he comes upon, like, this duo of serial killers. Like, they kill a taxi driver, take over his taxi, and, like, pose as the driver and, like, another fare.
Yeah, that was weird too. Like, what was that about? Why was that in the movie? That was so weird.
I mean, it was really cool when, he kills he starts stabbing the shit out of him, and we get, like, that cool shot of, like, the 360 of going around and in through the car. I thought that was a really cool shot. I'll admit.
It almost makes you feel for him as a character too. It's like he went on this weird odyssey, like, where, like, he, like, saw these other serial killers that, like, were doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he's the better serial killer, and so he's like, "Well, fuck these people. I'm not gonna die here."
Right.
And he kills them. God, it was so weird.
Yeah, and I mean, and then, like, what is it? He get, when the killer goes and gets his wounds treated, he then he tries to terrorize, like, this doctor's office, and nearly close. Well, I mean, I think she does, like, start sucking his dick. But then, the Soo-hyun comes in again to, like, stomp the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And
which I liked.
Right. Yeah, which I liked. And then, but then again, like, he could have had an opportunity to just kill him right then and there. But again, he doesn't. And then he, like, the sexually assaulted nurse, like, before she leaves, like, oh, like, don't, like, oh, miss, it's like, treat his wounds. It's just like, what the fuck, dude?
What are you doing? It's like, at that point, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Leave him battered and bruised and, like, broken. Fuck his wounds.
Or if you want him to suffer, like, because the killer, he was, like, using a scalpel to fight. He could take the scalpel, puncture his lungs, walk away.
That's where it's like one of those things, like, where, like, in like, Law Abiding Citizen, like, Jamie Foxx's character was like, fuck his civil rights. It's like just fuck him. Like, just fuck it. Like, just let him be injured and fucked up. It's like, if you're not
either beat the shit out of him with your bare hands and then call the cops, right? After you, like, fucking turned his face into hamburger meat and, like, your arms are, like, are dead tired and that you can't swing anymore. All right, do that and then call the cops, or just, kill him and be done with it.
Yeah, but I don't understand the whole idea. Like, he wanted to continue, like, he wanted to, like, have this, like, cat and mouse game constantly, where he's, like, going after him, like, and every time he, like, is trying to go for, like, a rape and kill or whatever he does, he wanted to like fuck him up, and it's just like there were more people that like suffered because of like what he was trying to do instead of like him actually like finishing the deed.
Right, and I mean, and then after that, he gets patched up, and he goes and goes sees an old friend who happens to be a cannibal. Um, and he's able to get insight on him. It's like, oh, this guy's like us. He likes the hunt.
Yeah, exactly.
And and again there's a confrontation, and he beats the shit out of him, and like he gets like that frenzied pitch where he's like constantly over and over again, just beating him with that fishing pole spike. But he stops himself because he's like, no, your suffering hasn't ended yet.
Yeah, and
When again he could just kill him.
and I think that's like the huge mistake of the film, where well, not of the film, but of the character, because eventually he figures out that like he has a tracker device on him, and he has like he figures it out, and he knows who is coming after him, and he goes after his family, like so like his sister-in-law and his father-in-law, and kills them. And it's like, was that revenge worth it? And I have to say no. It just it wasn't. It's like, just kill the guy. It's like, and I like I said, I understand you want vengeance. You wanna like rip this guy's guts out and like choke him with his fucking intestines.
Entrails, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I fucking understand that. That's understandable. And had that been the movie, had that been like the whole chase, I would have like, yes, that's what we want as an audience. But that's not what we get. We don't get that moment. We don't get it.
Yeah, even at the end, when he finally, he decides to end it.
It's too late.
It's too late.
Way too late.
It's way past too late. And then you have like, yeah, because he brings it back to the beginning. He gets him into his torture chamber. He has him strapped down, in the guillotine. And he has, the rope that has the blade on it. It's tied to the door, and he has another rope, with a hand grip that he shoves into his mouth to keep the door closed. Because if the door is open, the knot becomes undone for the guillotine, and it kills him.
Yeah.
And this, he gives one more chance for the killer to, repent of his sins, and ask for mercy and all that stuff. But there's no negotiating with this guy. There's no turning this guy. There's no way to make this guy feel guilty for what he's done, because he doesn't feel guilty.
Care.
He doesn't care.
Exactly.
And so so ultimately he doesn't get that satisfaction, except for, like, again, physically, when his life is put on the line, because Soo-hyun calls the killer's family, and says like, "Oh, your son wants to see you." And then then you have that moment where it's like you see the genuine fear. You start to see the genuine fear of his life, because like his parent, his father is trying to open the door, but he's desperately trying to, keep the door closed. But ultimately, the door opens, the blade falls, and he's beheaded in front of his whole family. His mother, his father, his
exactly
his basically abandoned son. And then you see the main character walking away, and he leaves the tracker there with the listening device, and he hears all of it. He hears the scream of his parents, of his son. He's finally got his revenge. But as he's walking away, what was that?
But at what cost?
Yeah, but at what cost? And as he's when he finally gets his revenge, he pulls out the earpiece and he loses it and starts crying, laughing, feeling all of the emotions.
Yeah.
But at the end, like, was it worth it? Yes, you lost your wife, you lost your child, but then the monster came after your family. You got your father-in-law, you got your sister-in-law. He fucking sexually assaulted that nurse.
And the girl,
he assaulted that that random taxi driver in the bathroom. After he got the tracker out of him.
Yeah, the girl too. Like, so there's like 3 or 4 other people that got attacked because of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I said, like, I had a lot of, or I had some some thoughts about this movie, and it's like it just goes to like my philosophy about vengeance, and in the Bible it says, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord."
Well, that's what we had like last week. That was like one of the key themes. Is like priest said that vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Like, he talks about the Bible, and this is a movie that I think speaks to that perfectly. Is that sure, I understand the need for vengeance. I understand the anger, the hatred, the sadness that the character is going through.
Mm-hmm.
And had he just outright killed the guy,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been justified. Do you think that would have been justified?
Justified. I would have understood. I don't know if I would say justified, but I would understand.
But you would have understood it, right?
Right.
But
and
it's
even if he he pulled kind of like the first kill in Law Abiding Citizen, where he just like takes him somewhere and like just cuts cuts him up into ribbons.
Yeah.
Even that I would understand.
But he went too far.
Right, exactly, because
far.
Yeah, he went too far with it. Because he thought that he would be able to keep him on a short leash and all that, but he underestimated the monster.
Exactly.
And so like his career is over. Like, he is no longer gonna be a secret agent, or like part of like
Of course, yeah.
His family is destroyed, right? His sister-in-law was raped and murdered because from the cannibal we hear like what's the killer's name? Kyung-chul. Yeah, Kyung-chul likes to give pleasure. His the sardonic.
Wonderful. We don't. Thank God we don't see that on screen.
Right.
But
yeah.
just we know, but we know that he does this.
Well, I mean, yeah, because of the incident with the high school girl.
Yeah. God.
Yeah. So that was so fucking uncomfortable.
Horrific.
Yeah. That
He
was
is horrible.
So uncomfortable. Yeah. But yeah, so we know like he's not just a killer. He's a rapist and a killer.
Yeah.
And so yeah, his sister, his wife was murdered, his child was murdered, his father-in-law. I mean, I don't know if he died, but he was beating the shit out of him. And then his sister-in-law was raped and murdered. And then the nurse was sexually assaulted. The cab driver was murdered. All these excess deaths happened because he wanted revenge.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I know it's not a perfect system, but you know that's what the law is for. You know, like it says in the Bible that the government is a minister of the Lord. You know, whether you know they are given the sword so that we don't have to. You know,
Yep.
so
And like I said, it's it's one of those things. Like I understand, I get it. Like I honestly, I would want that too. If something happened to my wife, I would probably murder them. But um, but at the same time, like it's just this is one of those movies where you look at it as like, what was the price? You cost like several people their lives for your vengeance that didn't deserve it. You look at like Kill Bill and like Count of Monte Cristo, and in those movies like Lady Snowblood, nobody was really cost. No extra lives were cost at the end of that. It wasn't like anybody that was innocent. What No innocent lives were cost. This movie, innocent lives were sacrificed for your vengeance, and that is a real problem. And to be honest, that's what happens with vengeance most of the time. Innocent lives are cost.
there's collateral damage.
Exactly.
You know, and again,
And
it's not just like, and it's not just you who are gonna suffer because like yeah, that guy's life is over as he knew it. He's no longer a special agent. He's no his reputation is completely destroyed. He's likely gonna go to prison.
exactly. But that's not what happens, and it's just yeah. This movie is really rough. This is not a movie that like similar to like Wind River. Like it's not like, oh, I love this movie. This movie's awesome.
Right.
No, it's not. It's not awesome. But is it a well crafted movie? Absolutely. It's a great. It's well crafted. It's great. Um, it definitely makes me feel things, but it's not like something like, oh man, I'm feeling like I saw the devil today. Like I'm gonna watch that. That sounds like awesome. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
or
watch
like
that
have like
movie.
I saw the devil like on repeat, constantly going over and over
Exactly.
again.
That's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But it's so good. It's really fucking good. This is a super well crafted film with like great actors. If you've watched Old Boy, if you've watched a lot of like I forget the actor's name, but he's so good as like the bad guy. And then like our protagonist, I also forget his name, but he's great in so many other things. Like you've probably seen him in like The Magnificent Seven. We've talked about that. He's been in a bunch of other stuff. He's been in Squid Game and a bunch of these
Oh
other like
yeah.
great movies and shows that you've talked about probably. And he's great too. Like the acting is phenomenal. The directing is phenomenal. It's great. The screenwriting is great. Like the script is perfect, but it's so horrible. It's so
Right.
bad. It's
Right.
so like heart wrenching.
Yeah, that's why I know because when we talked about law-abiding citizen, you're like yes, torture, more torture. Now it's like just put a bullet in him and walk away. You know, and I
I
mean,
won't.
and at the very least, I would allow like tie his arms and legs up like so he can't go anywhere, and nick his carotid,
Yeah,
and
I'm
just
all for it.
and watch the life drain from him. Okay, that's it. But as long as you're like
He
you're
went
doing
like Gerard Butler's
as long as you're controlling it
way.
and as long as he's going to die for sure.
He went way too far. I understand going after the people that like murdered your wife and child in a shotgun blast to because like one of them like raped his kid.
Right.
So I'm all for the shotgun blast to his cock,
Mhm.
like to end that. But he at the end of that movie, it's like he went way too fucking far. like going after his lawyer, the prosecutor, and like all the people that were in the prosecutor's office and everything. That's sorry, it's too far.
Mm-hmm.
I understand going after the people that went after your family, killing them. Good, I'm all for it, and I'm all for like killing the horrible serial killer. He is a horrible person, deserves to die. I get it. But like prolonging the torture just so you can have like I don't know, whatever it is, whatever vengeance you were looking for, but it cost innocent people their lives, and like you allowed like a nurse to get like almost raped and all this other stuff because you wanted your vengeance. It just doesn't. I'm sorry, it's not cool. It's not right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the principle like of a shepherd who, you know, who takes out a wolf fast because he recognizes the danger of that wolf, and like to just be like to play around with it, and give it the opportunity to harm, more in your flock. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like there's no shepherd that'd be like, oh, like let's play around with this wolf. So like, and like shoot off one of its legs and then shoot off its tail, and like, no, you're just making it matter, and it could possibly fuck up your flock even more.
Exactly. But that's all I had to say about I Saw the Devil. I do like this movie. I think it's a good movie. I think everyone should watch it at least once. This is not a movie I'm gonna like. Fuck, I gotta watch I Saw the Devil again. It's not one of those movies. I'm sorry,
Right. No.
but
No.
I do love the movie. I think it's great. I think it's
It's well made.
The acting is amazing.
Yeah. Well made, well executed.
Everything's amazing about this film. It's just not like a film I'm like, oh yeah, I Saw the Devil. That's not gonna be me. Sorry.
No. And I hope it's nobody.
You're fucked up if you want to watch this like a bunch of times. Sorry.
Yeah, if you want to watch this movie on repeat, then you got problems. All right. If there's anything else to say, let's give our ratings and we'll wrap it up.
Let's do it. This is my choice, so I'll go first. Man, I honestly like this is it's so well made. I love the acting. I love the story. I like everything about it. It's really horrific, but I can't think of anything less than a 4.5 on this film. It's so good. Um, despite all like the knocks that we have on it, I can't. I don't have a criticism of like anything about the film.
Right. Execution wise, there's no fault.
It absolutely accomplished what it was trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I'd agree with you on that. So I'm coming in at a 4.5 as well. It's literally the half point is because of the subject matter. It's just so dark.
Yeah, that's why I knocked it a half point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be a 5-star film. I'm not gonna watch this again. I'm sorry. It's not.
Yes.
The only reason I'll watch this again is like, oh, I've never seen this film. Like, would you watch it with me? Sure, okay, I'll watch it with them.
Yeah. But after like lengthy, preparatory kind of like stuff, it's like, okay, you're gonna see something fucked up. All right, just and constantly letting people know you're gonna see something fucked up.
Yeah. Will I buy the Blu-ray of this? Oh, absolutely. Sure, I will. Mm-hmm. But like, it's not like a film that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pull this. Oh, I haven't seen. I Saw the Devil.
It's a chill Saturday afternoon. Let's pop in. I Saw the Devil.
Yeah. I'll pop in like Halloween or Psycho or like Friday the 13th, but I'm not pulling like, oh, fuck it, like let's watch I Saw the Devil this weekend. It's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. No. Just like I'm not gonna pop in Wind River.
I know. It's like, what I'm feeling today? Some Wind River.
Yeah. Words that have never been spoken by anybody.
No. All right, folks. That's our review for I Saw the Devil. Both Robert and I give this a 4.5. This movie should be watched at least once.
If you've never
At
seen it,
least. If you've never seen it, watch it once.
Fucking
If
good.
if you've seen this movie and you think that we're crazy or you disagree, please let us know.
I'd love to hear from people who don't like it.
Mhm.
Just because, like, what don't you like about it?
I know,
Because
right? And not just because of subject matter, but like
Yeah.
actually like criticisms about the story, about the pacing, about or anything technical. Like I want to hear about that. I would agree with people who say like, oh, this subject matter is too dark or it's
Yeah,
too gory
of course.
or
I
whatever.
agree.
Yeah, of course. We knocked off a whole point keeping this from a perfect score. All right. We are with you. We are with you on that level.
But if you have a knock about the actual
Yeah,
movie itself, besides
the
that,
performances, the story, the
no,
pacing.
tell me. I would love to
Yeah,
hear it.
tell us.
I want to discuss.
Exactly. All right, folks, that's our stream for tonight. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. I know Rob always has a good time.
I always have a great time. Normally I'm speaking to a blank screen on Tuesdays, so or like
I know,
most
like Rob. Yeah, Rob is just waiting for 6 o'clock, like just sitting ready at his desk, just like, come on.
I'm like the Joker in like Dark Knight. It's like come on.
Come on, hit me.
Yeah, that's me. Like every day of the week, it's just like Tuesday, like randomly, like Andy pops up on the screen. So,
All right. Yeah. Don't forget to check out the library of other content we have, the Circle of J's main podcast. Keep an eye out for that Whiplash review with fellow jerk
it's gonna be
James,
fucking good.
Professor James.
Yes.
Definitely look forward to that. Of
And
course, also.
we're gonna have some good stuff coming up this year. We have some good movie reviews coming up this year.
Indeed. Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, and Rob's Gaming Show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts, Twitter and Letterboxd at PodcastDOJ, and Instagram at Circle of Jerks Podcast. And with all that said, we thank you for joining us tonight. Come back next week and we'll do it all over again. Have a good night.